What's up, guys? Raiden here. So, Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out in a couple of weeks, I would say, maybe a month at best. And this is like the perfect time, I think, to talk about one of the most important things in the game, gameplay. So, I'm sure you guys obviously have seen it and you know what's going on with the game, and people are talking shit about it. And I don't know if they want it to fail, but it kind of seems like it. But my thing, honestly, is what I think is going to make the game fail is the gameplay. Like if the gameplay isn't good, the game outright won't do good. So the trend lately has been that games, are woke or have a lot of other things in it that people don't really care about, or that you know, a game will do everything except focus on the gameplay, have a narrative driven story, have X amount of dialogue, X amount of this, X amount of that, but the gameplay is lacking. I'm inclined to believe that gameplay is the most important thing in the game. In fact, I stand by that, and I believe it actually is. I personally don't even think that's like, I mean, it's an opinion technically, but it's been proven right so many times. It's like fact at this point, you know? Like, take what's a good example? Take Baldur's Gate, for example. There are so many things in that game that could be considered woke. Characters sleeping with each other that are the same gender, so gay characters, bears and shit, and nobody really cared. Like you never heard anyone complaining about that at all because the game was amazing. The gameplay was astounding. The the gameplay loop was great, and I think that's what developers need to focus on. You know, no one's gonna care about you putting a black samurai in a Japanese-based game if the gameplay looks good. They saw the trailer for Yasuke. You guys saw the same thing I did. You saw that shit. You saw the combo variation and the choppy looking animations and the hip hop the hip hop music for Yasuke. We all saw that shit. You know? So I don't really understand where they were going with the hip hop part. That's for another video, but as far as the gameplay goes, it looked bad. Like it looked choppy, it didn't look cool, it looked uneventful. We haven't actually played it, so it's all just conjecture at this point, but they really need to focus on that. If they can really dial in on that, I think they'll make it and they'll be all right. That they'll push past this black samurai thing everyone seems to have a problem with, which again won't matter if the game plays well. I don't care what the game is about. If it plays good and the gameplay is good, which is what I personally care about the most, then it's fine. It's a purchase. It's a good idea. Because at the end of the day, it's a game, and this is what you're doing. You trying to have a good time. You want to enjoy what you're doing for 40 hours. You're not playing a game for 40 hours for the story or for the other thing, Like, if you are, you're only going to do it once. It's like a single player game. If it's not gameplay focused and it is narratively based, it has low replay value. And in a sense, it doesn't really matter because you're trying to charge $70 for a game you're going to beat 20 hours and you're never going to play again. You might play a second time. That's how you get games like Ghost of Tsushima and Elden Ring, which is technically not just single player, but you get the idea. They have really high replay value because the gameplay loop is good. It helps the game last longer. It helps the game, function for the foreseeable future. And I think if you focused on the gameplay rather than trying to use your game as a vehicle for your politics or politics in general, people would buy it. And I think we kind of got away from that, if I'm being 100% honest. You know, I'm not like older yet, but coming from a guy that's in his late 20s, I've been playing games my entire life, and I can tell you right now, games feel different, man. It didn't used to be like how it is now. You got a good game, you paid $30, $40 for a good game, and you'd play that one game for months. GTA San Andreas, Ultimate Alliance, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, you know, golden games I used to play back to back to back to back. I beat Ultimate Alliance so many fucking times. The original one. Rest in peace. Not that shitty bullshit we got for the Switch. But yeah, I think the gameplay is what really sells games. That's what really is going to be. you know, the deciding factor for the why someone plays your game and then continues to play it, because an argument can be made for like a Bethesda game because Fallout 3 had horrific gameplay, but it was so good in its story driven narrative and the way it portrayed the game and the characters that it kind of escaped by, but the gameplay was bad. Like nobody was shooting manually on that game. You pretty much use the VATS the entire game. So, there's the give or take, there's, your rotten apples, but generally speaking, good gameplay is just the way to go. It's a safe bet. And if I'm being 100% honest, I don't understand why Ubisoft or Ubisoft, however you say it, doesn't just focus on that. They have a system that works. They pump their games out in movie length. So you're talking AAA games in 1 to 2 years. No other studio can do that, like at all. Whether they have the capacity or they choose not to, I'm not sure. I'm more inclined to believe they don't have the capacity or a working system, but they don't do it for whatever reason. Whereas Ubisoft can, we just had Mirage. You don't see nobody talking about it. I can't find hardly any gameplay for it at all. That ship game they play, that fucking ship game. I forgot what it's called. Skull and Bones, I think it's called. Like you don't see, I can't. I have to go out of my way to look for that. I didn't get it in my feed. None of the gaming news sites I followed covered it really like that, except for the fact that it cost $70 for a boat simulator for whatever reason. But I think that's what I'm saying though. I don't understand why they won't just focus on good gameplay. You know, they could really lock in and make a masterpiece. They have a working system down. You know, really focus and hone in on that, and they can just print money. I don't understand these companies sometimes. Like or maybe they don't. I don't know. You know what the fans want. You see what sells. Copy if it's that hard for you. Take a baseline from a game that worked and integrate it into your own. But what they're doing right now is just it's not working. The games are not fun. And I think they're getting away from that. They want to build this open world, this huge story based narrative driven game that's like a Marvel movie with multiple games and dialogue, and you got all these characters with personalities that nobody really cares about, flat based characters. And then you start playing the game because they sold you so much on it, right? And then you start playing it, and it's the most bare bones shit you ever dealt with. You know, one of the things I do to one of the things I do to, if I'm being honest, one of the things I do to kind of justify or kind of judge a game is how it's presented. If I'm watching a trailer for your game and I don't see any gameplay at all, like no trailers or no nothing, I know the gameplay is bad. If you're trying to sell me on everything but the game itself, you have people doing conference calls, standing up on stages, over talking the game, saying, "Oh, this game is going to be this game is going to be that. It's an open world, narrative driven, blue, blah, blah," and you haven't showed me no gameplay. I'm inclined to believe either it's not finished and you're still in the production stage, which is fine, or the gameplay is trash and it's not the strong point of the game. You know, like I get there's games for everyone and every game is different. Like some people like the Telltale games. I personally couldn't get into them, but you got the Man of Medan games, or what do they call it? Forgot what they're called. But the Man of Medan games, the whole series, Little Hope, Devil Within, those have a gameplay loop that it's more driven around choice. So you're not fighting or anything like that. But it's a choice based game. But the point I'm making is they have a gameplay loop that works for them. It's niche. It's not gonna appease to everybody, but it works. You know what you're getting with those kind of games. They found a system and it works for them. Ubisoft had a system and now they deviated away from it, and now they're so far gone, Valhalla, they're trying to loop back around and, revamp what they had, and then we get stuff like stiff samurai gameplay. And then to top it off, they're competing with Rise of the Ronin and Ghost of Tsushima, which is unfortunate because Ghost of Tsushima is going on 5 years old now. So you would think that game wouldn't even be in the running for competition, but they are. They're competing against that game because it got released on PC as a port. So it's in everyone's mind. It's fresh again. It got what ported, I believe, back in May, if I'm not mistaken. So it's on everyone's mind again. And in what 2 weeks, we're getting Rise of the Ronin for PC. So now you got two samurai games that are on PC that are both open world, who you are competing against, because there aren't that many open world samurai games. We're getting a lot this year, but that's new. You know, that's new. So look who you're competing against. You're competing against Team Ninja and Sucker Punch. Team Ninja, honestly, it's a bigger competitor to me personally because I love fictional combat, and Team Ninja is really good with that. You know, Ninja Gaiden. But yeah, they're gonna. I sincerely doubt that Assassin's Creed Shadow is gonna come anything close when it comes to combat to those two games. And then we have Ghost of Tsushima, which is just really good, more on the realism style gameplay. You know, it's more, I would say, more centered in reality. So it works if you prefer that type of combat, but it's medium speed, not too fast, not too slow. It's a good medium, but the gameplay is amazing. The combat is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with the combat. I absolutely love it. Multiple fighting styles, good parry system, bows. It's the best samurai game out right now. You know, I guess we'll see how Rise of the Ronin does. I haven't played it. I waited until it came on PC because I knew it would get ported in a year, so I didn't want to go buy a PS5 for one game. I couldn't really make an excuse to, excuse me, I couldn't justify buying a PS5 when, yeah, it wasn't a lot of games for it. Everything kept getting ported. So when they ported Ghost of Tsushima, I decided I'm not going to buy it. But Rise of the Ronin's coming out in 10 days, I believe. And I will be playing it a lot. And it's going to get directly competed by or compared to Assassin's Creed Shadows because Shadows drops 10 days after that game does. It comes out on March 20th, unless they delay it again. It'll be on March 20th. So I'm going to play it. I want to get it. I want to play it for myself. I'm going to pay for the Ubisoft Pass so I don't have to drop to 70. And if I really, really, really like it, then I'll go ahead and, I might wait till a sale or something. But yeah, I said all that to say that gameplay is the most important thing. It is the fundamental, you know, reason people play games. There are underliers, there are, one offs, but generally speaking, if you're picking up a game, you want good gameplay, and that's kind of it. You can keep it simple with that. As long as the gameplay is good, you can worry about the other things later. You've seen games with bad stories sell. I've never seen a game with an amazing story but bad gameplay do well. At least I haven't. Drop a comment down below if you guys have had any games that had like absolutely dog shit gameplay, but the story was just amazing. I'm open to be proven wrong, but I haven't seen it yet. I've never seen it, but I've sat and watched games get carried on their gameplay alone, and I just knew the story was hot garbage. So I think if we get back to that, I think if we start to focus on those type of things, and really just dial in on the combat and focus on the UI and things that you're gonna really be interacting with for hours, because once you beat the story once, you're not gonna be able to experience it twice. And I think they tend to forget that once you beat the game, that's it. You're not gonna beat the game for the story twice unless there's alternate endings. Most games don't have alternate endings. It's kind of rare. So yeah. Um, Game combat matters the most. You know. So I really hope that they can try to fix that and get a better outcome for it. But I'll see you guys next time.